So, conclusions about Unilate's liquidity position. Um, Liquidity ratios indicate that Unilate's liquidity position is fairly poor. The firm may have difficulty paying its bills um, from operations in the future. They there is some potential for default. So next we move into asset management ratios. We have inventory turnover, days sales outstanding or DSO. We have fixed asset turnover and total asset turnover. Uh, so inventory turnover is cost of goods sold over inventory. So it's like how many times in a year are we turning over our inventory? Generally, more is better. Um, but doesn't all that doesn't always isn't always the case, but is mostly the case. So if we go back to our um, our cost of goods sold, that was one uh, 1,230,000,000, and again our inventory was these are 2016, 270 million. So that's 4.6 times industry average, 7.4 times. So we see again, Unilate's inventory turnover is below the industry average. Um, Unilate's holding on to its inventory longer than the average firm in the industry. So it's not operating as efficiently as other firms are. Day sales outstanding. So um, divided by daily sales. So this is one important thing here. You need to do this calculation first, this annual sales divided by 360. So if you divide um, receivables by annual sales and then divide it by 360, you'll get another number that will be incorrect. So anyway, receivables are 180 million. Then the annual sales divided by or 1.5 billion divided by 360 is 4.167. So that's 43.2 days. So what that's telling us that Unilate is having trouble collecting receivables. Its customers aren't paying as quickly as its competitors' customers are paying. You fixed asset turnover. So fixed asset turnover is sales divided by net fixed assets. So our sales, 1.5 billion. Net fixed assets, 380 million. Sales is from the income statement. Net fixed assets is from the balance sheet. So 3.9 times 4.0. So this is fairly close. That's not a big issue. A small percentage like that is probably not a sign for alarm. Um, Total asset turnover, sales divided by total asset, sales total 1.5 billion. Total assets 845 million. So 1.8 times versus 2.1 times for the industry average. So again, we're starting to see that Unilate is below it, below the industry average. It's not as um, using its assets as efficiently as are its competitors. So asset management ratios for Unilate, asset most of their asset management or asset turnover ratios are below the industry average. Means the age of the assets is longer than other firms in the industry. The company doesn't appear to be as operating as efficiently as do other firms in the industry. Um, so now we move on to debt management ratios. So um, debt ratio. Debt ratio is the percentage of of debt in the firm's capital structure. So the remember our balance sheet equation. Total assets is equal to total liabilities plus common equity. So, for example, if we have a debt ratio of 40%, that tells us common equity has to be 60%, and the other side of this equation is 100%. So times interest to earned ratio, and then fixed coverage charge ratio. And we'll walk through those here in a minute. So debt ratio, total liabilities divided by total assets. So Unilate's total liabilities, 430 million, divided by total assets of 845 million. That's 0.509 or 50.9%. If you look over, the balance sheet has percentages on it, and the total liabilities are equal to 50.9%. So industry average 42%. So this is telling us that Unilate has a whole lot more debt than its average peer in the industry. So using more debt than the average firm. Uh, and given the other performance that we've seen, it's possible or likely that the debt is a burden to the firm. Uh, times interest earned ratio. Times TIE or times interest earned is EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. If you go back to the income statement, the EBIT was 130 million. Interest charges are 40 million, so that's 3.3 times. The industry average is 6.5 times. So the TIE ratio is well below the industry average. The so Unilate's going to have a lot harder time servicing its debt than are its peers. All right, so we'll start the next lecture with fixed coverage charge ratio.